Hello, and welcome to Goodnight channel. I'm Jake.
And I'm PJ, and we have been doing the 52 game challenge, which is 52 games in 52 weeks. This week, we played and beat some in two completely different ways. Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls, Prepare to Die edition. Edit that so you know which one you want to use.
Okay.
Dark Souls was released in September 22nd. Well, on September 22nd. I mean, I guess in that date as well. 2011. Directed by FromSoft. And directed by... Did I say directed or developed by?
I think he said directed by
Developed
FromSoft.
by FromSoft. Directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki. Who also did the spiritual prequel. Dark Souls is a spiritual sequel to a game that's a PS3 exclusive called Demon Souls. If you've never played it and you like Dark Souls, you should play it because it's the same game. More or less. And it's a third-person action-adventure game, kind of like a Zelda game, sort of, in a way, I think.
Would you say it's an RPG?
Yeah, it's an action RPG.
Yeah, because that's what I didn't put it here, but I put action RPG as
when
the
people
gameplay.
say it's a JRPG, although it is a Japanese RPG, it's very clearly like for instance, oh wow, I'm already doing dumb stuff. I'm sorry. For instance, Zelda doesn't sell in Japan. It's like a Western phenomenon only. So it's kind of in the same vein as that, where it doesn't usually seem like if you look at the sales of the Souls series. Or the Soulsborne series, I guess now. It doesn't sell particularly well in Japan, but it sells really well in America and like Western countries.
Yeah.
So I would really consider it a Western, like an action RPG or a Western RPG, even though it comes from Japan. It's very clearly a lot more like Western and European influenced.
Yeah.
With some cool Berserk bullshit thrown in.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got to talk about Zelda for some reason.
So the story for this game? Essentially, you are the chosen undead, and you wake up in a prison cell, and you make your way through a small tutorial, and you find out that you have to collect souls and become stronger. I don't really know where you find that out.
First, you go to okay. You wake up. You don't know who you are. Doesn't matter.
You're a ghost. And there's your body.
You're a ghost, and there's your body, and we spoil the game. You're a zombie-looking person, and a guy in armor throws down a body that has a key on it. And you get out. You're in some place called the Undead Asylum. You leave. You beat a big big-butted demon. That's what I wanted to say. Big-butted demon. And you leave. A raven takes you to a place called Firelink. And when you go there, if you walk around and you talk to the people who are there, there's only like 2 people who are there at the time. There's a guy who's looking all sad, who you would remember from Demon Souls if you played Demon Souls. They're the same character. I guess now he's a Souls staple. He's not in Bloodborne, the Crestfallen Warrior, but he's in Demon Souls 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I think is 3 as well. Spoiler alert. This is going to come out before 3 is out. But I'm pretty sure he's in 3. And he goes, blah, blah, blah. I'm depressed. You should ring the 2 bells of awakening. One is located very high up, and one is located very low below the ground. And you're off from there.
Yeah.
You go ring the bells. A big fucking stupid looking snake is hanging out in Firelink, and he tells you, go to the Tower of the Gods. Get souls, and put them in a Lord vessel, and bring them to me. And that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's the story of the game. Sorry. Yeah, Frampt is that goofy snake, he tells you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super bare bones.
I'm glad you took over, because I don't really know the story. It's cryptic and confusing.
I mean, as far, like...
That's as bare as you can make it, because besides that, there's just a bunch of complicatedness.
No. I think the complicatedness comes from lore and backstory, but the actual story of the game is just...
Oh, yeah. It's
simple.
It's simple. There's not a lot to it.
You go, you pick some stuff up.
And you're done. You fight a guy.
It's refreshingly simple, because if you don't give a shit about any of the other stuff, yeah, bam. Wham, bam.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about gameplay?
Sure.
Since I took over story.
I'll try my best. So I wrote very easily that there's really only 3 components to this game. It's exploring, fighting, and dying. I mean, that's what you're going to be doing a majority of the time. Most people, I feel, get frustrated with these games and quit because they just keep dying, but that's because they're not exploring. I feel like if you explore enough, you kind of start to understand like alternative routes to things in this game. And I think that's really cool. But yeah, you have your character that you get to choose your class, and there's a bunch. I don't really remember any of them because I picked warrior maybe, and after that you become a swordsman, or you can become a wizard. Like you can kind of have variances in your classes and your style of gameplay. So I was a swordsman, so I just went around beating people with a sword, the same sword the entire game. Like it's pretty crazy. Like. To play a whole game and just be one thing versus other games I've played where I'm like, oh, I want to get new gear, and it's like, no, I have the best gear already. I'm fine.
Or I have gear that I really like.
Yeah, you don't have to upgrade just because it's better. Like, better gear technically makes you slower sometimes, depending on the gear.
Well, and it's all different. Like, for instance, the very Dark Souls was my first Souls game. Dark Souls 1. I had played Demon Souls afterwards. So, when the first time I went through, had a really, really weird build. Like, I think most people who go through the game the first time, their builds are all fucked up and strange and have, like, intelligence for no reason. For, like, I picked up intelligence for Soul Arrow. Yeah. And that's it. Like, just one time. So I could use it one single time. Like, a lot of pointless stuff. But the entire time I used, once I found it, silver. I was using a halberd, and then the second I found the silver knight spear, that was it. I used that for the rest of the game. I just really, really liked its moveset, and I like the fact that like the different spears have different lengths. Yeah. Like the silver knight spear is the longest spear, so it lends itself to a very specific kind of gameplay. So even if it's not the best weapon, sometimes you stick with a weapon in these games just because you like its moveset or you like its hitboxes and weird stuff like that.
I'm not really sure how you explain fighting in this game. It's got a very like dynamic system, I feel, where you can go in and rush someone and fight them and dodge them, or you can kind of lay back and shield and defend really well. And it really lets you can also do close range battles and long range battles. Like if I don't think you can really long range with an arrow so much. Like I feel like you have to really sniper shot stuff like that. But like magic, you can definitely, I feel, do attacks from a distance, and you don't have to be in a person's face to fight them. But yeah, the fighting is very tight, and when you make mistakes fighting, it's your mistake. It never really feels unfair in a lot of the fights. I feel like the unfair fights are very few and far between in this game.
I can't think of any one-on-one fights that feel unfair that aren't gimmick fights in Dark Souls 1. Like I can think of one fight that feels unfair to the player, and it's probably Capra Demon.
Oh, he's definitely unfair, but I mean he's not one-on-one too, which makes it just a little bit harder.
Exactly, because if he was one-on-one, he'd be a joke.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have had a problem, but he sends those dogs into your face, and it's like I'm gonna die.
He's most people's third boss, and I think he's kind of shitty.
Yeah,
but like that's an example of the combat in the Souls series. I feel has always been geared towards one-on-one confrontations or like managing a small horde.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends, but like most of the fights here are geared towards that. Like you want to control your aggro as you move around. Like you don't want to pull a shit ton of enemies because you're not really prepared for a ton of enemies usually. But yeah, it feels like, I feel like a lot of times people go into it and it feels really sloppy.
Yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't feel like when you sit there and play with it for like, 5 hours, I think you start really seeing that it's like, Everything has very specific frames, and attacks come out at a very specific time. Like,
I know it seems weird to say like dying's a part of the gameplay, but the thing about this game is you will go through death. So you will go through death so often that it kind of incorporates it into the gameplay where you have to plan routes. And are you going to sit here and fight the same monsters over and over again, or are you going to run through them? Like, you have to pick your fights kind of like, hey, I know I have this bonfire that I set up so I can die and go there. But do I want to fight these guys here? Do I want to run through here? Like, you kind of have to strategize a lot, and I think that's really cool. I mean, it was oftentimes like, should I take this bonfire because it's closer, or should I do this one because it gives me more Estus? Like, there's certain things you want to do, just to strategize in different ways. Like, do you want to waste your humanities? I mean, for me, it didn't matter because there's no point to being human in this game for me. But they're just like, there's a lot of depth to the dying system. I felt like, I don't know. I just thought that there was a lot to that. Like, then that's the three core things about this game: exploring, finding different places, exploring options with your character, fighting, how you get better with your character and how your styles work, and then dying. Like, you're going to die. Like, that's the point of the game basically, and that how you manage that and how you go about it.
I don't think it's brutally hard. Like, I think a lot of the marketing kind of hyped it up to be.
I don't think it's brutally hard except for maybe like one or two fights.
And I feel like they're supposed to be.
Yeah, they're completely unfair. I hated them.
Which, well, we'll get into that, I guess. But, well, what's interesting about this is if you have played, and what's really weird is especially when I first played this game, and then I played Demon's Souls right after, I thought, this is the direction that these games are going to be going. So it's very weird to me to now realize, having Dark Souls 3 coming out in a couple days. I'm sorry, I'm dating the episode at this point. That Dark Souls 1 is the only game in the Soulsborne series where you can't warp to everything. Demon's Souls isn't set up in like a large world. It's not an interconnected world. They're levels. It's like 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, like different areas, and you have a hub area, and you warp to the front of you could walk from 1-1 all the way to 1-5, might be 1-4. So the one that's longer. But you can always go back to the Nexus. Dark Souls 2, you can warp to any bonfire, right from any bonfire. Bloodborne, you can warp back to the Hunter's Dream in a horrible fucking design choice on their part.
Yeah, it's like, why that seemed like such a step backwards.
Yeah, from Dark Souls 2, which is a weird thing to say. You can warp back to the Hunter's Dream and then warp to anywhere.
Yeah.
So very, very weird. Although I think that there are a couple lanterns that you can't warp. No, I'm wrong about that. You can warp
if there
to
are,
every
they break. I think like there's broken ones you can't warp to.
There are one or two that break in that game, but I mean, it's the only one that has. I feel the best exploration. Dark Souls 1, like you never know. Like you're introduced to Firelink Shrine, which is your hub area, and you have to really think about the fact that if you go and you rest at a bonfire, which are your checkpoints in this game, are you going to be stuck out there? Like, if you go rest at the bonfire that's in the forest near kind of the beginning of the game, like, you're so far from Firelink.
Yeah.
Like, all the other bonfires besides Firelink only give you 5 Estus instead of 10. Like, it feels scary, especially the first time through the game. Like, oh, I'm out and I'm alone in the wilderness almost. Like, it doesn't feel like I can just run back to the bonfire and warp back. Like, I have to move backwards if I do that. Like, I have to make it back to Firelink.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very interesting and cool thing that this game does that none of the other ones do for some very strange reason.
I mean, it's something like I think it works really well in Dark Souls 1, and I'm appreciative that it's not in Dark Souls 2. I don't want to do it again. Like, yeah, it was really cool for that, but like I think Dark Souls 2, like there's just a lot of stuff spread out.
Yeah, they're like spokes on a
because I mean between bonfires is a lot of distance a lot of the time. Like I don't feel like there's that many bonfires in 2 that really feel that close, unless it's like right after a boss, and it's like, well, that's just so I don't have to go through a boss room again.
I think the problem is Dark Souls 2 is set up very similar to Demon's Souls, where it feels on a macro level, like it feels like I'm gonna do the old Iron whatever King boss
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to these 4 levels, and they are directly in a row. Like, bam, bam, bam. There's not really a whole lot of variance there. So it'd be weird to be like, oh, I killed this boss. Now I have to walk through the exact same area.
Yeah.
Versus, like, in Dark Souls 1, where it's like you go down through the depths, really, really long time. Like, it takes you to go all the way down from Firelink all the way down to Blighttown, to the bottom of Blighttown.
Well, but you would never go from Blighttown. You'd start at the depths and go down from that.
No,
bonfire.
but I mean, like, if you go from Firelink and then you think about your first time through and without the Master Key.
Well, which would be a weird build to not have the Master Key.
Yeah, I mean, now that everybody knows what it does, it's the only one that's useful.
Yeah, and the pendant.
And the pendant, of course.
Anytime you look up anything about this game, everyone talks about that dumb pendant.
But if you think about going from Firelink and then getting the key to get into the depths and then going down to the depths or going down to Lower Undeadburg and then the depths and then Blighttown, like, it's odd to think that you pick that up. You go, you ring the bell that's at the bottom of Blighttown, and you walk back up through Blight. Like, that's a scary thought. It was to me when I was playing the game for the first time. But it wraps right back onto Firelink very smoothly, and it takes, like, maybe 5 minutes to get back. But it feels scary.
Yeah.
Like, just to think about going backwards through that fucking mess, like...
But your brain thought it was scary.
My brain thought it was very scary.
Yeah.
Like, I was really tense that whole time. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then I finally got back and was like, I can do this. And then my Firekeeper was dead. And I was like, oh, fuck this entire bullshit.
Yeah, she was dead for me.
Yeah, it's... But I think my point in saying all that was exploring and dying. I didn't really talk about fighting, but, like...
Yeah.
Dying feels like a real possibility in the game. Like, and the fact that you are exploring and you can't just warp back feels scary. Like, it feels scary to die in this game.
Yeah. It's got that, as they say, get good mentality. Like, you're at this location, you need to get good to get out of it. Like, when you're at the bottom of Blighttown, at the bottom of depths and all those things, like, you have to you can either go back, fight all these monsters that are horrible, or go forward and fight all these monsters that are horrible.
But
like,
through poison.
Like, it's just like, you have to get good.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a very good thing to say for these games, but it's just you have
well,
to.
you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah,
more than anything.
and
like,
you have to just practice, and there's no consequence to dying, really. I don't think.
Yeah.
You lose souls, but you're not ever making enough in those sequences that it matters. Like, really, the only souls that matter are the boss souls. So I don't know. That's all I got to say about that.
yeah. All right, we're gonna get into discussion points. I guess I already spoiled stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you haven't had this stuff spoiled yet for you. Turn back, I guess, because I'm probably gonna talk about every boss in the game at some point.
I hope not. That'd be a really long thing to talk about.
I'm
for
gonna
no
talk
reason.
about every interesting boss, probably.
Well, then, like, that's one boss. Good. All right, let's move on.
Go ahead. Well, we kind of already talked about the controls.
I did. I was gonna cross it out because we've already talked about it. So
But the controls are tight.
they're really like. They started really loose for me. I guess I should have mentioned that I had not played this game before, except vaguely. I had only played up into Firelink and Undeadburg when it came out. And I got to that, I think, the Capper Demon probably back then. He seemed very familiar when I fought him, and I was like, this guy sucks. And I gave up. I never wanted to play it again. And so that's what happened. So now here I am 10 years later, finally beating this game.
10 years later.
I came off of I played Dark Souls 2 though to completion, and I really enjoyed the controls. So coming to this, the controls felt very different. Like, it's very weird. I don't know how to really describe that like, 'cause the controls are really hard to talk about anyway.
Yeah.
But like, they feel really tight in two. So to come back to this, like, they kind of feel loose just in certain areas, like jumping and just certain things just don't feel right to me. And I don't know if that's the game or me or what's going on with that. Like, it just doesn't feel as correct as I want, especially like since they've remade this game with Prepare to Die edition. You'd think that maybe it would have pulled things from 2, like, or just changed the little things, but it's not like, once you get past or once you get used to controls, like, it's fine. Like, I mean, I beat the game and I never felt like, once I got to a certain point, I was like, oh, these controls are fine. And then like going and playing 2, I get mixed up now. Like,
See,
just a little bit, like, oh, I forget the jump and stuff.
I mean, the jump obviously is a lot better in 2.
Yeah.
I think 2's issue is the inclusion of adaptability. I mean,
But that's not controls.
But it
That's
affects
just,
controls.
It does, but I think that everything's still as tight.
I mean,
it's just that mechanic is changed.
Outside, but I mean, that's a big part of the controls feeling tight or loose.
Yeah.
Is like when you roll in this game, you get invincibility frames.
Yeah.
And like you watch me stream Dark Souls 2, and it's like I'm sure it's painful for you to watch sometimes, especially before I had my adaptability up to 20. Like it feels loose to me.
Yeah.
But and again, I mean, spoiler alert, I guess. I'm sure you can tell by the fact though, by how I'm talking about Dark Souls 1, it's one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
It's in my nebulous 10 games that I really like that I would never put in order. But it's weird. Like I get so used to it, like how it works. It just feels odd. But I don't know. I think it's just they feel just a little tiny bit different.
Yeah, they're definitely different.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it feels like everything else should be the same. Like, I don't know. It also, like, the graphics really bugged me when I first started in 1. Yeah, I think the graphics are really ugly.
I disagree.
And I messed with DS Fix, and it made it a little bit better, but I still think like there was a lot of like ugliness to it. Not like it's just something about like the resolution that it's in or something weird. Like it's not that the game is itself ugly, just something about the settings cannot make it look pretty.
Well, it's a horrible port.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's
no way
the
around
biggest
that.
problem is it's been
Like,
ported.
You played at 60 frames the whole time, and I was like, what a brave man. Because you can, if you slide down a ladder and you're running the game at 60 frames per second, you can just fly through the world for some reason.
I mean, what does
You
that do?
never
Do I
did,
die?
What?
Would I just die?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not that big a deal, but
But
still.
I mean, I'm sure it'd be really frustrating to like be doing really well, and then you just slide through a fucking ladder and do infinity for some reason.
I mean, it wouldn't be any different than the rest of my gameplay or my game experience of just madness with this game. But okay. No, yeah.
I thought you were trying to say the game itself.
The game.
Like the art direction was
No,
ugly.
the art direction's fine. It's just the graphics are something just does not work right, and DS Fix kind of fixes it because like if you don't use DS Fix, it just feels like there's like Vaseline over mine. And I had that issue before back when that was the other reason I couldn't play this game was because of games for Windows Live.
Yeah.
It would never let me log in, so I couldn't save my game. Or something. I don't know if it was maybe I'm thinking of a different game where you couldn't save, but it was just like everything about it was so infuriating. I was just like, I can't play it. And then years later, they finally got rid of it. And I went, oh, cool, I can play it. And I finally got around to it, thankfully, when there's nobody on to play. So
Nobody on.
It's really hard to
no-
play some of these bosses.
No really cool soul level 1 dark wraiths can invade you.
Yeah, I don't think I got invaded a single time by a
Yeah.
real person, which is
I didn't
really
get-
sad.
I didn't get invaded, but that's because of my level.
Yeah. So, Nintendo hard.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big phrase a lot of people say these days about games back in the past. Essentially, that the Nintendo Entertainment System had really hard games. Games like Castlevania, which was cryptic and confusing, and Ninja Gaiden, which is a really difficult game that I've never been able to beat because it's so hard. And then Metroid and a bunch of other games back then. You could say Mario 2 in Japan. I know we mentioned
And
that
Mario
before.
1.
Mario 1 is also difficult, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty fucking hard.
But I think Mario
like,
2 is the epitome of hard.
Yeah,
For
but
like Nintendo, like
I would say, like, of those, Castlevania is probably the best example.
yeah, I think Ninja Gaiden's the best example, but okay.
The issue is Ninja Gaiden is fast as shit and doesn't telegraph anything.
Yeah.
Versus Castlevania, which is really slow. It has these very weird, like, if you jump forward, you can't control your jump. Like, it has these weird mechanics where it's like, you got to get used to them. And then once you get used to them, you know how they work, and you can beat the game probably. Like, it's not that hard once you kind of play with its rules.
It just doesn't have a ninja.
This game only has one ninja in it. And you didn't even meet him.
No, I'm saying that Ninja Gaiden is better than Castlevania because it's about a ninja.
I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying that I think that the closest proximity in games is actually really not Zelda, but Castlevania.
Yeah, I think Castlevania, even in setting, feels more correct.
It feels kind of like if you took Symphony of the Night, like those Metroidvania style Castlevanias.
Yeah.
And then you took that gameplay out, you kept some of the RPG elements, took that gameplay out, and then put in the original Castlevania's gameplay.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Zelda, and I mean, even I say Zelda, but I mean, there's obvious similarities there, but I think it has a lot more in common with.
I think it's more in common with the 3D Zeldas.
Oh yeah.
Like I could see that, like just based on like locking onto an enemy and rolling around, like that feels like a Zelda element.
Definitely.
I
mean,
but,
you do exactly those things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's that's the only thing I see similar to the Zelda series.
I think they're kind of.
I guess the inventory system. I guess if you want to go into details like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels kind of like just on the surface with the Zelda stuff.
Yeah.
But like the weight of the combat and like your rolls have a set distance. Like it feels that kind of stuff feels a lot more like old Castlevania. You want me to talk about the hard butt fair?
Yeah.
Because you're just looking at me.
Well, I don't have anything else to say about Nintendo Hard.
Kind of along.
I guess I had a thing that I was going for, and I forgot about it at this point. But yeah, I guess the game's hard. Well, but then, like it feels like Nintendo Hard, like that classic toughness where they don't explain to you. You don't. Like, you have to figure it out on your own, and things are a little like cryptic. Like you gotta go stand by a wall for 7 minutes, and then an eagle will come. Like that kind of like stuff. Like
it feels like they looked at that, but it never feels that cryptic.
No.
It's like it's almost as if it was developed, and I think that's why people really like these games. It feels like it was developed in an alternate universe where people kept iterating on that kind of design.
Yeah.
Where they didn't want to tell the player, they wanted players to figure it out themselves and have fun doing it themselves. But, they kept iterating on it until, hey, we have a game where it's like, for instance, the Covenant of Artorias ring.
Yeah.
To kill one of the bosses in the game, who is a mandatory boss, you have to get a ring from an entirely different area, which is very odd. Like, it's a huge distance apart.
Yeah.
But I think, it rewards the player. You can figure that out in one of a couple different ways. If you read item descriptions ever, a lot of them mention Artorias the Abyss Walker, or the fact that a guy named Artorias walked on the abyss. Like, you know what I mean? I believe the crest of Artorias talks about how he was blah 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 abyss, and people tell you, hey, the boss in this area has to do with the abyss. They're in the dark of the abyss. That's what Frampt says, I believe. And so it's kind of up to you to go, maybe I should go do this first. Do you find out whatever this Artorias thing is first? You don't know if you don't know what it is, but I feel like it's pretty important. So, you can figure it out that way, or you can kind of fuck up and not notice any of that stuff, and then a guy will just tell you, hey, you can't do it unless you have unless you know who Artorias is. Like, you can't kill him unless the only person who could ever walk on the abyss was Artorias. What's his name? The channeler tells you that. Or not the channeler, the sealer in red.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
So it's like they want you to figure it out, but they're rewarding players who are looking for that kind of stuff and who are reading the item descriptions and things like that.
I don't even remember how he got that ring.
Sif has it, the big wolf.
I thought I had to kill him for a wholly different reason.
No.
So I didn't even have to kill him?
You have to kill him.
Okay. For what?
The ring that he is.
But Artorias isn't like a main boss, is he?
No. So
then he's not important.
He is important.
Well, to the DLC.
No. All what I'm trying to say is the item descriptions say, hey, there's this knight. His name is Artorias. He did something with the abyss, and you're gonna have to fight a boss who's in the abyss.
Yeah.
So if you go that line of reasoning, without having to go all the way down to New Londo and have somebody tell you that, if you want to follow that line of reasoning, you're gonna go into the forest because that's where the crest of Artorias takes you. And then you go in there. If you talk to Alvina, she says, hey, there's a big wolf who's guarding the grave of Artorias. And if you don't, then you just walk to him and, you're probably going to figure, hey, this big door is important.
Yeah.
But she says, hey, there's this big wolf who's guarding the grave of Artorias, and you should probably put him down. Which you do. And then you kill Sif. You have to kill Sif. And you get the ring from his grave. Yeah, Artorias doesn't do shit in the main game.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I thought this dog, because now you're making me think about it. I was like, I thought this dog was important to the main game, but
he is important to the main game. I'm confused. Because
I thought he was like a great soul, and that's why I was fighting him.
No, you need Artorias' ring to be able to walk along the abyss.
Where's the abyss?
In the Four
DLC?
Kings fight. No,
Oh, the Four Kings fight. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, now I get it.
Yeah, because if you again, Framp tells you the Four Kings in the abyss, and then the sealer tells you, hey, there's these four kings. They're in the abyss. They've been swallowed by the abyss. Don't even fucking bother. The only person who could do it was Artorias.
Yeah.
Which even then he doesn't tell you specifically. You need X ring for Y reason. Like he goes, figure it out.
Yeah.
And there's a really cool death animation if you don't have the ring.
I missed it.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I'm sorry.
What?
But I mean that's kind of the Nintendo way.
Yeah.
Don't treat your people like they have intelligence.
Yeah.
It's nice. It doesn't always work right. I think there's a lot of things that are very cryptic in the game.
I think most things are, but
like cryptic in a bad way, like overly cryptic. I think there are definitely a few things that are kind of like, oh, okay. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Can you?
Well, probably that whole area that you told me about, because I wouldn't have never even bothered.
Oh, but that's different.
That's different, but it's still like bizarre. Like, I don't know.
You're talking about Ash Lake and the Painted World of Armaeus.
Painted World for sure, and that area kind of just made me upset because I didn't want to be there.
I love the Painted World.
I didn't like it, but okay.
Did you know that it's the first area of the whole game that they constructed?
Wow, that's probably why it's so horrible.
No, it's really. Oh my god, the Painted World's great. It's really, really well constructed. The entire area is really cool.
I mean, I spent a lot of time there, so
whatever.
I really got to know it.
But the point is, neither of those areas are mandatory.
Yeah,
they're both. Oh, you know what is very cryptic? The fucking DLC.
Yeah, I know. And
accessing the DLC is some fucking bullshit.
I didn't understand it. I
still don't really understand it.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that.
I had to look it up. I've accessed the DLC like 4 times, and I totally forgot by the time you started getting to it.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that, and still don't. I don't think I ever will. And I'm fine with that. I don't think I need to know. It's one of those things that I'm just not worried about.
There you go. So I think that's probably like that the amount of things that you need to do for fucking to get into the DLC is not correct. It doesn't feel like.
But that I guess that goes into one of my points. Though, secrets in this game are pretty secret. Like sometimes really secret. Like you got to hit a wall with a sword, which feels wrong to me, as a person who has
played Dark Souls 2 first.
Yeah, who if you use your sword on a wall, your frame rate's gonna explode your sword in an instant. So it's like, why would you do that? I almost feel like that's why they changed that mechanic, was so that people weren't hitting their swords on walls to destroy their weapons. But yeah, like that, the Ash Lake area, like that was really weird. Like,
but it's cool.
Sure, but it's like just bizarrely hidden things.
I think that's. I really, really appreciate it.
The thing that you explained to me, because I don't know anything about it, is the other snake guy. Like the ability to do things out of sequence, making for like a totally different experience, which I think is fantastic. Yes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think it gives you it gives you a reason to play the game multiple times to find those types of things. And I think that's really cool about the game is, hey, I know I can do this early, and it will probably make things easier for me. And if you do it, it actually makes the game better. Like you, or worse, I guess, but it opens up new paths.
You understand the game more.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool is, I think that's true of all the secret areas. They reward you in stuff. Ash Lake has not when you get there the first time, but it's the end of a quest that has one of only 2 or 3 Titanite slabs that you can get as a 100% drop. One is from a secret boss. So like they reward you with stuff. They reward you with interesting areas. Like Painted World of Aramaeus is, I think, interesting, even if you don't like it. And it has a bunch of cool stuff in it, like items and stuff to pick up. And the return to the Undead Asylum, like it has a bunch of cool stuff in them, and it's rewarding you with story stuff if you care about that. Like it's rewarding you no matter what you've got. Like you want just better items, bam, you're getting rewarded. You want cool story, bam, you're getting rewarded. You want to just not even care about them or know about them, fine. Like you played through the game for the first time. I don't think it's any secret that I've probably played through the game a bunch of times.
Yeah.
This time I completed the game at level 1 through the whole game, and did the sequence thing where you go down to you're told through the story of the game, the actual story, not the lore. You're told through the story of the game that you need to give the Lord Vessel to the snake guy. But if you pay attention to the cutscenes that play when you hand him the that Lord Vessel thing, a bunch of these fog walls go down so you can actually go and fight new stuff. But the one that's in New Londo never goes down. So kind of through it, it leaps in logic, sort of. You can probably figure, hey, I can probably kill those people early because nothing's stopping you.
Yeah.
You can go kill Sif almost right away. He can be your first boss. It's possible. Like he can be your first boss. He really can. Yeah. If you go through Valley of the Drakes, you can end up in the forest, and then you can take the long way around and go kill Sif. So you can make 4 kings, which is a very late game area, or late game boss, your second boss. So like that's fucking crazy right away. It's stuff like that, and you get rewarded with story. A new snake comes up and he goes, "Hey, you didn't give the thing to the other snake guy. Good on you. Give it to me. I'm way better." Like very cool stuff. I don't know. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Story?
More story?
Just a little bit. I think this game lacks story depth in its main story. Just in general, it just doesn't have a whole lot going on to motivate you. Like it has motivation in a very bare bones. Do this because of this. There's not like, oh, by the way, this and this. Like there's stuff like that happening, but it's all very background and cryptic. You have to go read item descriptions. You got to talk to NPCs who might or might not show up if you didn't do a certain thing in the right order. Like there's a lot of very strange things like that. Like I don't know. Like there's this character Solaire who everybody's like, oh, he's the best, but I'm like, I don't think I learned anything from that guy. He's just a weirdo, and I kind of wanted to know more about the guy, and I was like, why do people love this guy? I killed him. What? What a weird game. It just seems like there's not a lot to the story depth that I would have liked to have seen. Like, I really want more from the world. I'm very interested in the world and the lore, and I get bored reading item descriptions because I go, I don't know what this means. Like, there's talking about places that you don't see, so it's like, okay, sure. Like, I understand, like, It's kind of like when you get the books and stuff in the Elder Scrolls games. Like, yeah, here's all the lore, but it's like I don't want to sit here and read this. I want a little bit more meat to the story, I guess. Like it seems so bare bones here. You're undead. Get some souls. Get the Lord Vessel. Choose to do this.
No, you don't even know you have a choice.
I know, and that's what's even weirder. Like you have 3 choices. You can do good or bad, both bad, or do it or not do it. Like, There's just a lot of weird, and I'm fine with that. I think that stuff's cool, but like, I wish there was like, I wish there was like a little bit like of hard facts of what's going on, just a little bit. Like, oh, okay, like this is cool because of this, but it's also like meaningless in the end. You're like, oh yeah, I did all that. Why?
I would say, first of all, I agree. The only thing I will say is that I do really appreciate how much storytelling is in the environment itself.
Yeah, I think that's really cool that there is enemy placements themselves, like being able to see enemies in certain places and knowing that, oh, this is here because of this, because like like the Chandlers are in the archives because they are learning. Like you get these little bits and pieces together.
Or even the 2 sets of stairways in Inner Londo. Like you got the little stairs for the humans and you got the big stairs for big gods and stuff. Like it's cool. There are little things like that I really appreciate. But I will say, like, without the DLC, like, I think Sif's cool, but you don't know why you're killing him. You're just kind of like, I totally agree with you on that front, where it's like, oh,
yeah, I just killed this sad dog.
Yeah, like again,
who once you
really
hurt
cool.
enough, he doesn't fight you anymore. So it's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird fight.
Like with the DLC and like learning the lore afterwards a little bit more and really sitting down and looking at item descriptions and stuff. Yeah, it's cool, but like, you don't even learn that much. Like, you go to the grave, like you can conceivably know who Artorias is and think that's kind of cool, but there's like 1 or 2 item descriptions I feel like that talk about Sif. Like, there's barely anything.
I forgot he was a dog. Like, I was like, who's Sif? Isn't that a dragon? Like, I just totally forgot because they never talked about him.
I feel that fight is way better with the DLC. Almost.
Yeah,
well,
when I got to the
mandatory.
DLC and I found this dog in a wall, I was like, what in the fuck is this game? Like, and then I went to fight the worst boss, but whatever.
Manus?
Yeah.
He's just aggressive.
Yeah.
And he kind of doesn't match the Souls. I think he's a great boss. I just think he's very aggressive for how slow Dark Souls is.
He would have been great in Bloodborne because he's in it.
Oh yeah,
he's the very first boss essentially.
He's in it multiple times.
Yeah,
in Bloodborne.
And he's super fightable in those games with your aggressive stance in those games. But here it's like, this is fucking hard for no reason. Like, such a weird thing. And then like he felt the hardest of everything I fought in this game.
Kalameet,
which
you didn't fight.
Well, I tried and I went, this is dumb. And I also...
It should be said, Jake fought every boss except for Kalameet.
No, I
didn't fight Priscilla.
Yeah, I didn't fight her either. Yeah,
you didn't fight Priscilla, but I can't blame you. Like, I don't think I've ever fought Priscilla. I just get there and I go.
I didn't have a reason to, and I went, I got to beat this game one day, so I'm not gonna bother.
I really liked watching you do it because you're just like, all right, bye.
Yeah.
Like, I like walked in and was like, oh my god, I don't want to kill you. And you were just like, well, okay, that means I don't have to fight anything. Great. Like,
if I don't have to fight, good. Like, that's my favorite thing. You see my play style. Run, fuck fighting.
Yeah, no one's going to blame you for not fighting Priscilla. Again, I've never fought her. I can't bring myself to do it.
I mean, I don't know what her deal is, but whatever.
She's cool.
But that dragon...
Which one?
Kalameet, who had fucked up a couple times, I guess, because I looked up a little bit because I was like, I'm curious about this dragon that I'm not gonna fight.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, he's really hard, and I was like, oh, and it's like, I died to him. I guess I didn't have to. All I had to do was see him fly, and then I could have gone and talked to someone, and he would have shot him with an arrow.
I thought you had to die to him, but I mean, I died to him, so
yeah.
I just assumed that.
So yeah, I went to fight him, and I hit him a couple times, and I went, yeah, I could probably do this. But I don't care. I just want to beat this game. I know I only have one more thing to do. So that's what I went and did.
Yeah.
I just didn't... I had lost all my energy after Manus.
I just wanted to point out that, like, I don't want anyone to go away thinking, he just didn't beat all the bosses, or he just did exactly what... Because you're...
No, I tried to fight just about everything if I could. And most of it I had to solo because...
Yeah.
Except for one fight that I really did need help with, and that was the two brothers.
Two brothers.
Ornstein and Smog.
Yeah.
Hey, I hated them. That was a fun, fair fight.
That is I did it.
Good for you. You've played it how many times?
I was doing it at level 1.
Yeah, whatever. You played the game like 10 times. I don't give a shit. They're horrible. Anyway.
They are not. How can you say they're horrible and then defend any boss in Dark Souls 2?
Oh, because they're all terrible too. I hate all the bosses in Dark Souls 2.
All right, fair enough.
I can't think of any boss that I really enjoyed fighting in 2. Like, they're all kind of boring. There might be one, and I just can't think of it, because there's like one that I have a lot of fun.
Demon of Song is really cool.
He's cool, but he's stupid.
I
They're all really easy in 2, though, also.
They're either easy or horrifyingly annoying, like Throne Watcher and Throne Defender.
They're annoying, yeah.
They're horribly, horribly annoying for some weird reason.
You have to beat one, then the other.
You have to beat them at the same time.
Whatever.
If you don't...
one sits on the side until you beat the other. You have to beat it before he gets his health back.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if you do it like how I did it the first time, where I assumed, it's like Ornstein and Smo. I got to focus on one while dodging the other, and then I'll be able to kill the other one. No. You have to focus on both somehow at the exact same time, or you'll die.
Exactly, yeah.
It's great.
Great game. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a boss I really enjoy in 2.
There aren't any.
I like
Ornstein. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, he's just Ornstein. Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
Yeah, because he's the half of the horrible fight.
Vendrick. I mean, not Vendrick. I'm sorry. Velstat's cool.
Velstadt is cool.
Yeah.
I really like that fight.
Velstat's a good fight.
I like that area.
I don't like the area up to Velstadt just because of how fucking annoying it is if you ever die. It's got 6 fucking things just stacked in your way.
In that hallway?
Yeah.
Well, you just run around them.
I know, but it's just annoying.
And if you let that guy hit the bell, there's even more things.
Yeah.
That's always cool.
Yeah, I like
I actually, for whatever reason, I always like fighting the skeleton steed.
Yeah, he's dumb.
We shouldn't be talking about Dark Souls 2.
I'm sorry.
Let's move on.
I like Mirror Knight or Looking Glass Knight. He's kind of cool.
Anyway. Shitty unfinished areas? I don't know anything about that.
You don't know anything about that?
No, because the whole game feels unfinished. And shit. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually, I'd like to skip that, and I kind of just I added it into questions instead.
Okay. Well, okay.
So we'll talk about shitty unfinished areas. Don't worry, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite games, but I'm very prepared to shit on large sections of it.
I really should have looked up what my class was.
See,
and I think I kind of already went over this, so I'm gonna just drop it anyway.
Yeah, I also don't think that class matters that much.
No, but like, are you a wizard? Are you a warrior?
Oh,
that kind
you
of
mean
thing.
like play style?
That's
okay.
What
I thought you meant starting.
I went class play style.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's worth like. I think most people go into it the first time as kind of like knight.
Yeah.
Like, you can use most weapons. And, I think the magic system in all the Soulsborne games are kind of cryptic and odd.
I guess I have a question.
Yes.
What's your preferred play style?
I really like being a knight.
Yeah.
Like, it feels nice. I like to go back later and experiment with stuff, but the first time through, it's nice to be, like, well-rounded, medium role kind of knight person.
I feel the same way. A lot of people suggested...
Dexterity or
casting, and
it's cryptic as fuck the first time.
And I tried it in 2 and I didn't like it. It was kind of why I didn't play the game. And then I picked up cleric and had a mace, and I was like, oh, this is way better. And then I just started rolling warriors after that, and I was like, this is way better. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I was so afraid to fight things, and then like all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm not afraid to fight things. I'll beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And so like going into this, I was like, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of stuff. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Or run from them, because that's what I mostly do.
Yeah, I think it's always fun. Like, I think Faith happens to work well. I mean, I don't ever use any of the caster things on my first run.
When I did Cleric on 2, I had a lot of fun with some of that stuff, but, I mean, it didn't work very well because they patched it and got rid of most of it. So it was like, I don't know.
I mean, I remember when it was not patched.
Yeah.
That was fun. Also, fucking Dark Souls 2. It's hard not to talk about it.
I don't know why this is written here twice, so I'm going to get rid of it. Do you have a favorite area?
Honestly, the two secret areas are two of my favorite areas. I think Painted World. I know you don't like Painted World.
Yeah.
I really, really like Painted World just for how well it's designed and how it looks. Mm-hmm. It's really pretty. For the same reason that I like Ash Lake. Like, it's just really pretty down there and just kind of cool looking and strange. I don't know. There's a lot of areas in this game that I really, really, really like.
I really like the DLC stuff. Like, just the level design in that area felt very tight, almost tighter than the rest of the game for some reason. Just like everything meshed really well, and also kind of felt like the DLC in 2, as well as a bit Bloodborne-y in its level design in that area, and I kind of like that. It had the it felt very drawn out, like you're going through levels, but then they would wrap around again, and I thought that was cool. I really liked that whole area. There was a lot of interesting things in there.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I don't like about it is I've always been kind of disappointed because I was just like, oh, it's just another forest. Maybe that's because my first time through the game, I spent a lot of time in the forest. We didn't talk about covenants at all, but
I didn't do any, so.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I was a forest hunter. If someone goes into the forest, you invade them.
There was no one playing, so I had no reason to join a covenant.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a couple PvE covenants.
Yeah, but I didn't care. I just wanted to beat the game.
And they are also cryptic. And if you don't have that ring, you have no idea what they are. The ring that lets you talk to Quellana or the snake or the spider.
Kulag.
No.
Oh, you killed her.
Yeah, that's the one you killed. But her sister is in there, and she doesn't talk to you unless you have a ring.
Yeah.
But you can still join her covenant, so it's very strange and cryptic.
Do you have a favorite boss?
Probably Ornstein and Smo.
Okay.
I have really fond memories of dying to them a lot. Like, working so hard to get to them. And just that feeling when I finally fought and beat them the first time I played the game was something that I hasn't really been replicated since in any of the Souls games. For me.
I didn't really like them, but I really liked Artorias' fight.
I didn't think you liked it.
I spent a lot of time on it. No, I don't think I really did, but I kept doubting myself, and I kept putting down summon signs and different things to try and like figure this fight out. Mm-hmm. But I played so late in this game's life cycle that there was nobody to help me, and there are no summons. Like there's no NPC summons.
Well, I thought you fixed that later.
I did, but they're not in that area, so it didn't matter. No one was playing in that zone.
Yeah.
So it didn't make a difference.
Okay.
But I just had to get good. And I really liked that fight for some reason. Like I just got really into it, and I started to really figure out his patterns. And it was like at that point in the game, I was like, I've finally gotten like everything figured out. Like when I was making mistakes, I went, that's why I need to stop doing that. And I would take a break. I'd go like go outside, walk my dog, and go, all right, let me do it again. And go, all right, and I'd get even closer. And then And then right after his fight, you go back in his room, and there's a lady for some reason. I didn't really understand that. So the end.
She's mentioned in item descriptions.
Oh, great.
She's one of the 4 knights.
She's one of the knights?
Yeah, Ornstein, Artorias, Hawkeye Go, and Lady Kyrian?
Do you fight her?
I mean, you can. I fought her.
Why?
I wanted her cool outfit.
Oh, okay. I got cool swords.
Yeah, well, she gives you the swords and the outfit if you kill her.
Oh, well,
she gives them to you with her corpse.
With her corpse. That's now on top of Artorias' body.
And you get to keep his cool soul.
Yeah.
Artorias is a great fight. He feels exceptionally fair.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he is the definition of, and while I do like Ornstein and Smo more, kind of because they're unfair, almost. I really think Artorias' fight is like, it's what Dark Souls 1 is about. It's hard, but it's fair. Like, he'll hit you, and he'll hit you like a truck, but like if you figure him out, he's got a power-up move where you can hit him out of it. Like, it's one enemy. He's very fast, but he has stamina just like you. Like, it feels good. I also really enjoy that fight.
Yeah, I think it was a
really
fun one.
But wait, you didn't tell me what your favorite area was.
I don't have a favorite area. No, I'm just...
What's your favorite area?
I did tell you my favorite area, the whole DLC area.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So, again, like even his fights in that area, like I don't know, it just all felt very smooth.
Yeah, it's really, really tight.
It's almost like they had time to work on it and make it better. Like they had it before and it wasn't ready, and then they're like...
It's almost like it's an area from before in the game.
Yeah. They made it better somehow.
Yeah. What's your least favorite area?
The rest of the game. Least favorite? Probably that area at the very bottom, or maybe even getting to the bottom of that world. Blighttown?
You don't like Blighttown?
No. I spent a lot of time there.
But you don't like it? Or is it... Okay,
no, I don't like it.
Why don't you like it? Do you not like it because you think it's shitty in a good or a bad way, I guess I should say?
It's annoying all the way through it. I didn't like it, and then I had to run through poison at the bottom, and I just Wasn't having a good time there.
But I mean, isn't that kind of what it's about?
Yeah, I guess, but I don't have to like it because of that.
But I mean, like, okay, I guess what I should say is, I guess what I wrote here.
It's my least favorite area of the whole game because it's annoying.
What do you think is the least well-designed area of the whole game?
Least well-designed.
Blighttown.
Blighttown. God, what a piece of shit. I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to get into like design stuff. Maybe like that forest area where you fight a Hydra that's way too big. I think this game has a lot of areas that are really big sometimes. I don't feel like they need to be as big as they are. So anytime there's big areas, I'm just like, this is annoying. Like Ash Lake is a really big area with one thing in it that's okay, but
it's pretty. That's why I like it. It's just
but like you can make something pretty and not make it big. Like even the Crystal Caverns are kind of too big, and there's nothing really in it except big blue fuzzy stuff because everything's out of my depth of field.
I kind of like that. It gives it a sense of scale. No, I 100% agree with you about that Hydra area, though.
But I think Crystal Caverns works because you're not able to explore all of it.
Yeah,
you have these defined paths, and you can see the huge scale. Mm-hmm. I think the problem is like the Hydra areas is this long hallway, and there's not a lot going on. But I could have gotten that in a much shorter distance.
And you can easily fall off the incredibly ill-defined cliff face.
Like, I think those areas, while secrets, I get it, but they are just kind of not so good. Like big areas always kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I would agree with you about the Hydra area.
Like even the other Hydra area in the forest is kind of...
That's what I meant. I meant the forest area in particular.
Yeah, like, that one I hate. The whole forest area is kind of just annoying, though. But
like Ash Lake, you're going to fall off the side. Like, it's pretty obvious. But like the forest area Hydra is like...
Yeah.
It's like a puddle, and then out of nowhere, it's a sheer cliff.
Yeah, thankfully, though, it's a lot easier to see than in 2's sheer cliffs in the Amada.
Yeah, you told me that, and I was going to fucking... And you told me that in Sinner's Rise, and I thought I was going to have a fucking... I was like, what sheer cliff? I still couldn't see
you
it.
Were so close to walking off, and I was like, you're dead, dude. I don't know how you survived. Like, the 2's water graphics do not help you see cliffs.
They're pretty, though.
They look great, yeah.
They do look good.
They hide the sheer cliff. That
they hide the sheer cliff really well.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the least well designed, my least favorite area, everything is every single area in the Demon Ruins. The Demon Ruins all the way to Bed of Chaos is I hate.
I didn't have a problem with it for some reason. I just ran through it though, as I often did everything. Like it just. There's a lot of stuff in there still that I didn't see, but that was another area with a big area that I found pointless with a bunch of dinosaurs.
Huge flat area. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then Lost Izalith is so bad that you can see the edge of the fucking like when you're walking into the Bed of Chaos fight and you look down at all, you can see the border of the skybox. Like I hate that area. It's boring. It's
all really big. And anything that feels or anything that is big in this game doesn't translate well to me.
I think it depends, but I mean, I see where you're coming from.
Like you have to run. You're wasting stamina. It's like this doesn't feel good. Like when I have to run to these big areas. Like you fight that first boss in the lava.
Centipede demon?
No. The one that stops all the lava. This discharge guy.
Yeah.
Like. Who didn't fight me until I picked up some armor. I don't know what was up with him.
He's sad.
Yeah, he's really weird. So I beat him up. And then you go down and you see a shit ton of Capra demons. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to go fight one.
That's the issue. Like,
but
it just looks like it's copy-pasted.
Yeah, and it's just this huge area. And it's like, this looks boring.
Yeah, it is. It's the game after Ornstein and Smote is rushed.
But any of the areas with those... buildings I think are fine. Like those areas are fun. But there's a lot of shit in them.
Well, it's just like the enemies are boring. Like they're just that
silent statue things. Yeah,
silent statue things and chaos eaters, which don't do any. They actually do stuff, but you wouldn't know whatever.
Which ones are those?
They're the things that look like cheese that walk around.
Like cheese.
With all the eyes all over them.
Oh yeah, and they got big mouths on top of their heads.
Yeah, they don't really do any. They do stuff, but it's you.
I don't know if I saw them do anything.
Yeah,
they looked really dumb.
Yeah, they look stupid.
They looked like a cartoon. Like
very clearly they finished Anor Londo. It looks like they did Duke's Archives probably right after that because it's well made. It's got stuff in it like.
Yeah, I really like Duke's Archives. I think it
And
looks cool.
New Londo Runes, like clearly they made that pretty shortly after. I would say then they probably made Tomb of the Giants, which is just kind of like it's interesting just because it's so fucking dark, and it's a weird change of pace, especially if you don't have your helmet that has the light on it like you did. Like it becomes even weirder because you're either blind or you don't have a shield, which is kind of like what Dark Souls 2 was going for, but they changed that.
Yeah.
Except in a couple areas. Sorry, I don't want to keep talking about Dark Souls 2. But like, it's cool. I think Tomb of the Giants is cool. You know, it's not spectacular, but at least it's interesting.
I liked it. I had fun in there.
And then you get to
skeletons and shit.
Weirdly, the area that has the most sequential rooms, like the most sequential areas that are all connected. Like Catacombs is connected to Tomb of the Giants, and then there you go. That's Nito. You're done. New Londo is just New Londo. Duke's Archives is attached to Crystal Caves, and then you're done. Demon Ruins are attached to like 2 different Lost Izalith areas. I don't know what they're called. I don't remember. With 3 bosses in them, and then the Great Soul. So it's very weird, and it feels super rushed and wrong.
It feels like filler.
It does.
Like they're like, we need more in the game, and they just threw this together.
Yeah.
They
like,
made
we
a
need an
boss
area.
that's super shitty. I guess that's my least favorite boss.
Okay, yeah.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, Bed of Chaos is the worst boss.
He's just stupid. I was like, I don't understand. I just fucking die for no reason. This is really fun.
Yeah, I appreciate the concept.
Could have been done better. Like maybe
Yes.
if I didn't get murdered for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, they've done it.
It was literally just, am I gonna survive this time or not?
Yeah,
like,
it feels like RNG, and this game it feels really good because things don't usually feel like RNG. They don't feel like, oh, I fucked up because the dice rolled wrong and a big fucking thing swept me off. Like,
yeah,
it is awful. I like that it's a puzzle boss. I almost wish there were more puzzle bosses. I fucking hate Bed of Chaos.
yeah, he was boring. I didn't like him.
Awful. Yeah.
That's my least favorite boss.
Yeah. How do you like Gwyn?
He was interesting.
Yeah,
He was easy.
Yeah.
I died to him a lot, and I think it was all entirely my fault.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel like it was his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept getting him stuck on a fucking rock so I could beat him, but I beat him.
It's a very kind of, it's something that I feel like Souls games do well. I hate Nishandra.
Yeah, she was boring too.
But I like
She's
Gwyn.
another one that just fucking hurts you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. You get cursed. It's
Yeah.
like, thanks for just cursing me.
Yeah, I mean she's easy, but it's just kind of like doesn't
Yeah.
feel climactic.
Yeah.
Like I like Gwyn because you walk into this huge area that feels really like climactic, and then you get to him and he's just kind of like, hey, I'm gonna slash a sword at you, and I look like shit.
Yeah.
And it plays sad music, and it's very clear that that's what they were going for. It's not like an accident,
I'm excited that you will hopefully one day get to the DLC in 2
I'm
and
really
check
excited
out
for it.
those bosses in those areas because they're really good. Like I don't like 2 that much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like these games that much, to be honest.
I think you secretly do.
But I really like the DLC in 2, and I really like Bloodborne. Like I will say Bloodborne's one of my favorite games of all time.
I really think you'd like Demon Souls.
And I haven't played Demon Souls, so I don't really want to get into it yet.
I know. I'm sorry.
But maybe one day, maybe next year. If
Yeah.
we keep doing this,
It's
I'll
short.
play it next year.
It is short. It's way shorter.
But yeah, I do want to play it, but I have to play Dark Souls 3 this year.
Yes. We will be playing Dark Souls 3 whenever we beat it. I guess is when we do have a set date for it, but if we don't beat it by then.
Yeah, because there's no way of knowing.
Yeah, it could
How
be
long it'll
short,
take
it could
us,
be
yeah.
long. I'm hearing that it's Bloodborne length, but
Oh.
a little bit longer, so should be fine, but you never know.
I just really wish it was out.
Yeah, me too.
So, anything else?
No.
Cool.
I mean, I don't know.
I know you love these games.
I do. I really do. I really, really like Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne. I really do love Bloodborne as well. I will agree with you. It feels like I could see, especially if you had played Bloodborne first and then Dark Souls, like Bloodborne is so polished.
And I mean, that's what I've done. Is I played Bloodborne and now I've
exactly.
played Dark Souls. So it's tough to like this game. Like there's a lot wrong with it, and I don't think it's a bad game. It's just it's a product of its time. Like it doesn't have the reiterations that the new games have that it deserves. Like I wish there was an HD remaster.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow.
Well, date the episode some more.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I would like to play. I would play this game again if they made another version of it, like just updated it a little bit.
Yeah, it scares me. Don't get me wrong. The idea of somebody remaking this game or like HD, let's fix it, like really scares me because I don't want the Dark Souls 2 combat in it. I don't want the faster like. I feel like it works because of this, but I do want it to be touched up and like.
Yeah. Well, I want them to do what they did for 2 and just fix the problems, but not change the game. Like the game still functions.
You know, I take that back. I said, I take that back. Scholar of the First Sin also adds a bunch of fucking enemies for no reason.
Well, yeah, but
all over the place.
I don't think they would do that. Like that would probably just be New Game Plus for Dark Souls 1, which I think would be great for it.
I will say really quick. It pains me that none of these games have good New Game Plus, except for 2.
Yeah.
2 has awesome New Game Plus. This New Game Plus, boring.
I started it and I went, hey, nothing's different. And
yeah,
I was already bored with it.
Yeah, it feels like there's no reason. I'm not a person who like, even though I've played this game multiple times, I don't find New Game Plus as interesting. But I as someone who thinks that Dark Souls 2 is the worst game in the series, I will say that it's the only game that I beat New Game Plus because I had a lot of fun with it because I got to step back and not look at it like, hey, this is a dark. I got to look at it like it was a video game and I was just having fun with a video game. It was interesting to kind of step back and have fun with it that kind of way.
Yeah, I kind of wish that like the sins, the Scholars of the First Sin stuff, all the added enemies were in the New Game Plus. Like just make that even more. Like New Game Plus 2 has even more shit going on.
That'd be really cool.
Like, yeah, cool. Like up to 7, there's just crazier shit. Yeah. Like, here's 10 trolls. Good luck, fucko. And it's like, oh, but no, they just kind of like threw shit everywhere. And it's like, why'd you do this? Like,
you know, I wouldn't. I had absolutely. Maybe that's the problem is going through Dark Souls 2. I felt like a lot of stuff was unfair, and then the second I started New Game Plus, and there was a ton of unfair shit, I was like, yeah, give it to me. Like, I wanted the unfair stuff. I feel like New Game Plus is acknowledging the fact that, all right, I'm done with the game. Give me something more.
I feel like Dark Souls 2 is a very Namco game versus a FromSoft game, and I think that's the issue there is that it's a B team with Namco kind of like, we want another game because people love this series. Like it's our money maker, and I don't know if that's true, but I know it sold a lot.
I definitely believe that's true. I also feel like it's one of those games where you look at 1 and you look at 2 and you're looking at 1, which feels like it feels like every area somebody sat back and went, hey, how does this area connect to here? How does this fit into the world? You know, and that's why those other areas suffer. Like Lost Isolith suffers so much because it feels like they ran out of time because they were worrying about everything all at once. Versus 2, I don't think any of the areas suffer. I don't like some of them, but none of them are as broken and look as copy pasted as Demon Ruins through Lost Isolith. Like none of them look like that.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it almost feels like, and I bet that this is how this worked, is they went, okay, you're the team who's going to work on all the areas up to Old Iron King. You're the team who's going to work on all the areas X to Y. And then they just attach them all. Yeah. Because, I think that's a fair thing to say. Like,
yeah, I know a lot of people complain, like, level design, like, they don't mesh. But I think that the levels work the way they are. Like, they don't continually make sense, like, location-wise. But it feels like they are different people were working on different parts, and they put it together to the best of their ability. Like, well, that doesn't make sense, but it works here, so we're going to do it.
Yeah, it really feels like a product of something happened mid-development, or they just didn't have enough time in general, which this game only came out a year after.
And again, I don't know the director for 2. I'd have to go look that up, but
it is Miyazaki's like right-hand man, basically, or his like protege.
So it's hard to know like what his thought process was versus Miyazaki, who clearly is a madman when it comes to these things.
I don't think it's fair to blame it on him.
No, I think it's a group effort.
Well, yeah, I think it's more of like, you have X amount of time. You are not getting this done in that amount of time unless you sacrifice something. And I think they sacrificed having someone pour over the amount of levels there are. Like,
well, it's like New Vegas. Like, there's flaws with that game, but it's also, I think, a tighter experience than 3. Like, they had ideas, they just weren't able to get it done in time, and that's why they kind of did the new version, which also doesn't make sense. Whatever.
Scholar? Or are you talking about New Vegas new version?
It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's try and wrap this up real quick because we're way over time.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. No big deal. We're going to be talking about all this stuff some more soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while this isn't one of my favorite games, it's still really fun. Like, I would say Bloodborne is a better game in every way humanly possible, and I would prefer to play it even just because I like the setting.
Yeah.
A little bit more, just because it's something really weird and different versus dark fantasy.
It's a different kind of dark fantasy, but I mean, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I don't think this game's bad, but it's dated. It definitely feels very dated now, and that's the problem I have with a lot of these 3D games is they feel dated, kind of like TV shows that use CG. It looks dated after a while. It doesn't look as crisp as if it was the older pixel style.
It is one of my favorite games. The only reason I've played, I really do love Bloodborne. The only reason I've played Dark Souls more than Bloodborne is just sheer variety and like the amount. Like I said, your second boss can be one of the last bosses in the game.
Yeah.
Like the amount that it opens up and lets the player kind of do whatever they want. I just, there's something about that I really, really love. The fact that I could just jump in and go to any area basically and just start doing shit and like.
I have no qualms with this game. I think it's great.
No, I'm just saying like that. I would agree with you that I think Bloodborne in a lot of ways is the better game, and yet I've only played it through twice.
This game intrigues me like EYE intrigues me. Like, there's a lot of shit just going on that I want to know more about. You know, like, but it's not
on another plane of existence, and I cannot wait until we play it. We are gonna play
our next game.
It's not our next game.
Yeah, please.
Anyway, I don't even think we're gonna be able to.
I was waiting for your executive decision to come about again.
We are going to play EYE Divine Cybermancy, which is one of the games that I've probably played like 2 levels of that I adore. It is so fucking bizarre. Everything about it. And I see where you're coming from, but it's like, when you compare the two, this is like, I wonder what, this is like a Stephanie Meyer book compared to like War and Peace. Like, EYE is some deep shit that I don't think I understand right now. Like, every instance of that game, every moment and fucking second is something bizarre. From the moment you kill something and it goes, you've gained Brazoof. And you go, okay, I'm glad. Like, what a great game. I can't wait until we play that.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a fun thing to talk about at some point, hopefully.
So, all in all, we're going to play EYE at some point.
That's the whole point of this episode. We're going to play EYE at some point. All right, well, thanks for listening.
What are we playing next week?
Gunpoint.
Next week, we're playing Gunpoint. What are we playing after that? Earthbound?
Earthbound.
Oh, how am I going to get Earthbound done?
It's so easy.
Is it long?
Not really, but...
Am I already fucked? Because I haven't played it in like a week.
You haven't played it in like 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you should really get on that if you want to get it done in time. Yeah. I don't know how stuck you might end up in some of the areas.
Well, next week is Gunpoint. The week after that...
Could be Castlevania 4.
Could be Castlevania 4 when I refuse to be able to beat Earthbound.
Is Earthbound your Dragon's Dogma?
Earthbound's going to be my Dragon's Dogma. I don't know why. Like, I like the game so far.
Yeah, just like how you like Dragon's Dogma and its quirkiness, and I go, yeah, I really like Earthbound and its quirkiness.
But I like Earthbound and its quirkiness. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying
I'm just messing with you.
Every time I think about it, and I go, this is like a JRPG. Like, there's hours I gotta spend here. Like,
yeah,
I don't know why.
Well,
maybe I'll go do that right now.
Maybe it's a good idea.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
I'm gonna go play Earthbound.
Again, thanks for listening.
Hit me up.